What is good, everyone? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that a number of people have requested, and that is how to get a teaching job at a Japanese university. It's a bit of a long topic, so let's get started. Because this is kind of an involved topic, it probably would actually take more than one video. But for this one, I've divided everything into three parts. The first part is qualifications that you will need to get a job in a university. The second part is what kinds of jobs are out there for you to actually apply for. And the third is the actual application process itself. Okay, so qualifications. Gone are the days when you could get into a university job with a bachelor's degree only. This was possible 20-30 years ago, and even up more recently in very rural areas where they had trouble getting people to move out there. It might still exist, it might still be possible to find something like that way out in the countryside, but not something you should bank on when you come here. Basically these days you're going to need a master's degree at minimum. And it also needs to be a master's degree in the area you're going to teach. So if you're going into English teaching, that's going to have to be a TESOL, teaching English as a second language degree, applied linguistics, something along those lines. So again, gone are the days when you can come up with a master's in child psychology or some other topic that is unrelated to what you're going to teach in the university. You can't get a job with those anymore. The competition is too fierce, and too many people in the cities, Tokyo, Yokohama, Osaka, Kyoto, the prestigious universities outside of the big cities. You're going to need a master's at least in that teaching area. If you have a PhD with a good track record of publications, then you are going to sort of rise to the top for sure. Other qualifications that are good to have is teaching experience itself. So when you put together a resume, be sure to include whatever tutoring, TA experience you might have in university, etc. Also, publications and presentations at conferences. Universities are an academic job, and so publications and presentations become a thing. Some jobs may just want to hire teachers, and so they don't care about your publications. However, if you've got two really identical resumes, the person with more publications might be more likely to get that job, even if publications aren't that important for the hiring committee. Now let's get into the types of jobs you can actually apply for. The first is dispatch companies. There are companies in Japan that will hire you and send you out to universities with whom they have a teaching contract. Now this can be a great foot in the door. I've known people who have done this and they've been sent out to XYZ University, and XYZ University has decided to hire them on as an actual teacher within the university. So it can be a great foot in the door, and it is a gateway to getting some university teaching experience for the places that require that you have university experience in Japan to apply for. The disadvantages of the dispatch job is you are actually an employee of that dispatch company, not the university itself. So on your resume, you're going to have to make that clear. You can say, well, I taught at this university, I have this experience, but they weren't your employer, and your resume will have to reflect that. The second disadvantage, and probably the bigger one, is they don't pay a whole lot. it's going to be the lowest rung on the salary ladder for sure. And you don't have really any official status in the university as well. Next up are part-time positions. I know a good number of people who have worked their entire careers in Japan only doing part-time positions. And basically what that entails is cobbling together a schedule at 2, 3, 4 different universities in order to make enough money to live on. And there's a sort of freedom in that. You get to make your own schedule and put things together to try to maximize your money and time well spent. And one of the advantages of this system is many times part-timers are a sort of de facto permanent employee. Like when you're on a part-time contract, you're actually just sort of rehired on a yearly basis by agreement. Another advantage of the part-time gig is you are not beholden to any departmental meetings, curriculum design meetings, university-wide meetings. You don't have all those extra duties that a full-time faculty member will have. So you can show up, teach your class, go home, and then get paid. And you don't have to worry about any of that external stuff. Disadvantages of part-time teaching are, well, you don't have a benefits package, for instance, health insurance and that sort of thing that the national pension plan, you're going to have to pay out of pocket, and that's a disadvantage. And also, it's a lot of classes during the week. To make enough money to make ends meet, you're going to have a good number of classes to pull that off, and so you're going to be pretty busy teaching a lot. Granted, schools aren't really going to expect you to be doing research so much, and schools are not going to be having you doing meetings, so you've got the time. Next up, you have the full-time contract positions. And these are just what they sound like. You have a contract to work full-time at a university for 2, 3, 4 years, and now you are at one school, usually for 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. If you have one of those 4-day-a-week places, you can put together a part-time schedule on your 1 day off, which can allow you to make extra money. Now you have some stability, you have a little more power in terms of having meetings and being part of curriculum design. You have a more prestigious thing to put on your resume for the future, because a full-time position looks better than a part-time on your resume. And your salary is going to be enough to live on from that one school. The lowest salary I've seen, and it's pretty low, was about $36,000 a year, but it could go up to $75,000, $80,000 a year. Now, advantage, of course, is the salary benefits. Again, health insurance, pension plan is going to be paid in part by your employer. So that full burden is no longer on your shoulders alone, which is nice. However, there are some disadvantages to the contract jobs. First and foremost, it's a contract, and pretty much after 3 or 4 years, you are going to be let go from that job. You often see the same universities hiring every single year. They're hiring new people all the time, and it's kind of like this contract musical chairs. You finish your job at one place, you apply to 5 or 6 places, and you move sideways into a new contract job. And that's what a bunch of people are doing at the exact same time. So obviously that's a negative aspect, because you don't have job security. You have that existential dread of, am I going to actually be able to sidestep into a job next time, or will I not be lucky, and what am I going to do if I don't find something? And you're still not really a full member of the faculty in most cases, because you're temporary. You're not part-time, but you're temporary. And that's definitely a disadvantage if you want to settle down, have a house, have your kids attend the same elementary school, not have a always changing commute every few years. So that's the disadvantage of the contract work. Finally, the grail, tenure or tenure track positions. Usually you're going to have a PhD to have any chance of competing for these. Some places will accept a master's with, quote, a publication record similar to that of someone who has a PhD. Although I have a hunch if there's a PhD on the table along with you and your publication record, they're probably going to take the PhD. Why? Because number of PhD doctorate holders on your faculty actually figures into university ranking systems in Japan. So if the school is concerned with its ranking, they're going to take the guy with the doctorate. Now, those positions are all over the place. You can find them, but you're going to have the qualifications to get them. Not only do you have to have the doctorate for nearly all of those positions, but this is where you're getting into the cases where you're going to really need to have good Japanese skills, because the duty of a full-time tenured professor in Japan is going to involve a lot more meetings. It's going to involve advising of students and possibly even teaching classes in Japanese. It's all going to depend on the position, of course, but this is where Japanese language is going to be a real bonus for you. You can get by with limited or no Japanese on the part-time contracts or the temporary full-time contracts. I know plenty of people who have very limited or almost no Japanese ability who are working that type of job. But that's not so easy to pull off once you're on the TenYearTrack position. Okay, last but not least, what is the application process itself like? First of all, the time period in which most job listings appear is late July, August, early September, maybe as late as October. That's because the Japanese school year starts in April, and so they're hiring people for that April school year the fall beforehand. So start looking for job listings in July and keep on it through October. Generally, interviews will happen starting in October, maybe late September through December. Now there will be a flurry of job openings that will be listed come January, February, and this is because people have decided to take another job and their seat is being vacated, and so these universities are trying to find someone rather quickly to fill the spots. So there is sort of a last chance at job listings at that time. And there are job listings that hire for mid-year. Sometimes they will take you on in September for the second semester, and you do see job listings calling for that. I will do a whole job listings video in the future, you know, where to find them, how to look for jobs, and also more details about the qualifications. For example, many universities require their own form when you do your resume. So you can't just have your generic resume and send it everywhere. A lot of universities are going to require you to fill out their version. Those kind of details, I think, need another video. As for what to expect, you're going to send off applications. Most of them still want them by snail mail. The rare ones, and usually part-time ones at that, will accept them via electronic submission. The interview process itself, most often one round, but some universities will have a second or even third round to their selection process, usually before a panel of teachers, and some will be in Japanese, some will be in English, some will be in both. I've done all three, and it's a pretty fascinating process. You know, a little intimidating when it's an all Japanese interview. It takes a little bit of extra preparation. But that's the rundown of job type, applications, and qualifications. So if you have further questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have. Please look for future videos on this very same topic where I'll go into greater detail about each individual category I've talked about. And be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you get the notifications. I do put out content every single Friday, and I try to make it as useful and insightful about Japanese society and life in Japan as possible. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I will catch you next week.